The laughter inside the banquet hall was loud and careless, echoing against the marble walls and golden chandeliers. The millionaire, Charles Whitmore, leaned back in his leather chair, surrounded by his friends and business associates, his glass of champagne raised halfway to his lips. It had been his idea, and they all thought it was hilarious. "Let's invite the cleaning lady," he had said earlier that week, smirking with the arrogance of a man who had never been challenged. "We'll seat her at the table. Let's see how she fits in." His friends laughed, not because it was genuinely funny, but because they were men and women who laughed at everything Charles said. The woman in question was named Evelyn Johnson. She worked in Charles's mansion, scrubbing floors, polishing silver, and picking up after the endless parties he threw. She was quiet, polite, and often invisible to the people who stepped on the floors she cleaned. That invisibility was the very reason Charles thought it would be amusing. In his world, a cleaning lady was the last person one would expect to see at a gala filled with millionaires, influencers, and politicians. To him, it was a prank, a joke to entertain his wealthy circle. But Evelyn was no ordinary woman. Beneath the plain uniform and the gloves stained with bleach, she carried a lifetime of struggles and resilience. She had raised 3 children on her own after her husband passed away in an accident years earlier. She had worked multiple jobs, faced prejudice, endured humiliation, and yet she never lost her dignity. Every day she reminded her children that no work was shameful, that the true measure of a person was not the wealth they held, but the character they carried. When the invitation arrived, folded neatly inside a golden envelope with Charles's signature at the bottom, Evelyn knew what it was. She wasn't Nan V. She had heard the snickering among the staff when they delivered it to her. She understood that she was being invited not out of respect, but as a source of entertainment. Still, she didn't throw it away. She stared at the words for a long time, then quietly said to herself, "If they want me there, I will go, but I'll go on my terms." The night of the gala arrived. The hall was filled with glittering gowns, tuxedos, and the hum of expensive perfume mingling with the aroma of fine wines. The men talked about investments, the women whispered about vacations in Monaco, and the waiters moved silently with trays of oysters and caviar. Charles sat at the head table, enjoying the power he felt in orchestrating the evening. His eyes flickered to the door every few minutes, waiting for the moment when his little joke would come to life. And then the room grew still. Heads turned. The chatter faded into silence. Evelyn stepped through the door, and in that instant, she no longer looked like a cleaning lady. She was radiant. She wore a deep emerald gown that shimmered under the chandeliers, her natural curls styled into a crown of elegance. Her posture was straight, her eyes steady, her steps graceful as if she had always belonged to this world of luxury. She didn't rush, she didn't shrink, she owned the space. Charles blinked, his smirk faltering for the first time. His friends stared, their laughter caught in their throats. Evelyn's presence carried something more powerful than money. She carried self-respect. She walked across the hall and sat down at the table reserved for her, unbothered by the stares. The evening unfolded with whispers and disbelief. Some guests leaned closer, asking Evelyn questions, perhaps expecting her to stumble, to reveal her place. Instead, she answered with wit and grace. She spoke about literature, quoting lines from books she had read late at night after long shifts. She spoke about the strength of single mothers, the lessons of perseverance, and the importance of kindness. Slowly, the whispers turned into genuine conversations. The same people who had expected to laugh at her now found themselves listening, even nodding in agreement. But it wasn't all smooth. A woman at the table, draped in diamonds, sneered and asked, "So, tell us, how does it feel to be scrubbing toilets one day and sitting among us the next?" The question was sharp, cruel, designed to cut. For a moment the table tensed, waiting for Evelyn to shrink back. But she didn't. She looked the woman in the eyes and said calmly, "Work does not define my worth. What I do with my hands is honorable, and it puts food on the table for my children. But what I carry in my heart and mind, that is what makes me who I am. And tonight I sit here not because I pretended to be someone else, but because I showed up as myself." Silence fell, heavy and undeniable. A few clapped softly, then more joined, until the applause echoed through the hall. The woman who had mocked her shifted uncomfortably, suddenly exposed for her pettiness. As the night went on, Evelyn's dignity transformed the atmosphere. The prank Charles had planned became his undoing. He sat watching, his arrogance stripped away, realizing that he had underestimated the very woman who cleaned his floors. The guests weren't laughing at Evelyn. They were admiring her. The power of the room had shifted, and Charles, for once, was not at the center. By the end of the evening, several guests approached Evelyn, asking about her life, offering support, and exchanging numbers. A philanthropist even extended an invitation to speak at a women's empowerment event. Evelyn smiled, knowing that she had not only risen above the prank, but turned it into a platform for something greater. When she returned home later that night, she found her children waiting up for her. Their eyes widened as they saw their mother glowing in her gown. "Mama," her youngest whispered, "you look like a queen." Evelyn knelt down, kissing their foreheads, and said, "Remember this? Never let anyone tell you where you don't belong. You belong wherever you choose to stand with dignity." The story of that night spread quickly. What began as a joke became a lesson whispered across boardrooms and dinner tables. Charles never made another prank like that again. And Evelyn, she continued her work, but now with opportunities opening before her that she had never imagined. Yet she never lost the humility that carried her through. Her story became more than a moment at a gala. It became a reminder that true power does not come from money or titles, but from the unshakable strength of self, respect and courage. And for everyone who heard it, the message lingered long after the chandeliers dimmed. Never underestimate the quiet strength of the ones you overlook, for one day they may rise and shine brighter than you ever dreamed.